Welcome to the channel where you will find love, laughs, and DIYs. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I'm so thankful and blessed that you came to craft with me today. I have some amazing vintage and retro DIY decor that I know you're going to love. I did it on a very tight budget, and let's jump right into the first one. I went to Google Images and I just pulled off a couple of simple pictures. These are totally free. I just Googled vintage Christmas images and I came up with these. I just printed them out on my regular printer paper and I'm going to cut out the ones that I want to use. Now, anytime that I use something that I've done on my printer like this on just regular printer paper, I always spray that Rust-Oleum matte clear on top of it because it kind of seals that ink in, so when you use Mod Podge with it, it's not going to run all over the place. So I picked some of my very favorite little golden books, which was The Night Before Christmas and Rudolph. My mom used to read those to me all the time. And at Hobby Lobby, I paid only $3 for these 3 ornaments. They're cubed ornaments. They're normally $6.99, but they've got a 60% off sale going right now, so I paid $3 for these. What I did was put Mod Podge on one side, and I'm going to place my picture with the actual picture part down on top of that Mod Podge because you're going to be looking through the ornament and seeing that, which is going to be on the back side. And then I just kind of leave it alone and let it dry. But I put a really good coat of Mod Podge, not goopy, but just enough to where it's going to make this image stick. And I did this to all 3 images. Just put down my Mod Podge and put down my picture with the picture part on the Mod Podge. Just use your fingers to go around and just make sure there's no wrinkles or bubbles. But honestly, I didn't have any trouble with wrinkles or bubbles. It was super easy to do. When I run into the wrinkles and bubbles, it's when I'm using a whole lot of Mod Podge. So I just used enough to make sure it's going to stick, but I did use kind of a good healthy portion as you see here. While that first coat of Mod Podge is drying, I just painted the little tops of these ornaments. I painted one red, one green, and one yellow. Now, when these totally dry, I'm going to put another coat of Mod Podge on the back, but for right now, we just want that first coat to dry, and it just takes a few minutes, really. Now, when it's totally dry, this is what it's going to look like, and look how cute this is. Now, the next step is totally optional, but I love to do this. I'm going to seal the back off with Mod Podge. And while it's still wet with the Mod Podge, I'm going to pour all kinds of glitter all over the back and sides of this. I ended up using the chunky glitter on this first one, but to be honest with you, my personal preference is that thin, fine glitter. For whatever reason, it always comes up looking so much prettier on any project I do when I use that super fine glitter. But at the time, I didn't know when I used this chunky glitter. I did add this glitter to all the corners and underneath the ornament, and I just think that it kind of looks better. Now, I put this beautiful silver color on one. On the one where Santa Claus, the little kitties are up there talking to Santa Claus, I used a beautiful fine green glitter, and it came from the Dollar Tree, and I thought the green was really pretty and it kind of stuck out. It's just really bright and vibrant. I like to use the colors of glitter that coordinate with the picture that you've got in there. So I ended up using silver, green, and then for Rudolph, I put a really pretty blue color, and all my glitter came from the Dollar Tree. My next step was to take some of the faux snow from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to fill my ornament only about 1/4 of the way up with the faux snow inside. You don't want to go too much on this, just enough to where it just kind of coats the bottom, and you can put all kinds of cute little decorations in there with your faux snow. I stuck some little red berries in mine. I even put like a tiny piece of a cut up straw that was a candy cane straw. I put that in there. I put some silver bells in some of them. And I also add this stuff. It looks like glitter, like big chunky glitter, but it's actually like small plastic tubes, and it's all different color. It's right beside the glitter in the Dollar Tree. But I think it's really pretty, and it really makes a statement to these ornaments. And then I just pop the top back on each ornament. I cut a pipe cleaner into 4 equal pieces, and I'm just going to glue this to the front and create like a little makeshift frame. Now this is just a personal preference, but I think they look really, really good when you frame out the front of these. It just brings a little something extra to it. And on one of them, I cut 4 pieces of white rickrack to make like a beautiful little frame around the front of it. And no Crafty Cathy project could be complete without my beautiful little vintagey buttons. So I picked 2 green buttons and 2 red ones, just kind of to go around the corners of the one where I put the white, just to give it a little something extra. And y'all let me know what you think about these, but I think these are beautiful and gorgeous, and you can't get more vintage than that. For DIY number 2, it's going to be those vintage dioramas that were very popular back in the 60s and 70s. The ideal thing to use for this would be one of those terrariums that come out in the spring at the Dollar Tree. I didn't have one of these, but I did have a 98-cent ornament from Walmart, and we're going to make it work. And I made a circle using a large tape spool, and I have one of these heat tools. But don't worry if you don't have a heat tool, because I've seen people use hot glue guns and just kind of use the heat from that to make the hole in their ornament. Now, when this thing got really hot, it sliced this like butter. I normally would not have a heat tool in my crafting stash, but Plaid sent me this about a year or 2 ago, and I'm so glad they did, because it came in handy. And there's other projects that I could use this for, so I'm glad I have it. But hey, if you don't have it and you need to make a hole in your ornament, just try your hot glue gun. It will work too. But I just went around and just kind of smoothed out where I cut my hole. And I just used my little sand zipper, or whatever this thing is called. It's that little tiny little sanding zipper, I think it's called, to just make the edges kind of calm down and not be sharp. I have this cute little picture of these little kids dreaming with sugar plums dancing in their heads, and I made sure that it was going to fit in the back. And then I just cut off a piece of cardstock so that it would have a harder back, so it would be a little stiff. And I just used double-sided tape to tape it together, and then to tape it to the very back of my ornament. For my second ornament, I used one of those little snow globes that are out right now at the Dollar Tree, and I just painted it with an acrylic paint that's a very light yellow color. I left the inside portion of it white, and then I just painted the outside and then that little inside rim the yellow color. On the other ornament, I used Pedal Pusher by DIY Paint, and I gave it one good coat all over also. I used my heat gun to dry my ornaments, but be really careful when you use heat with these, because it'll make a big dent in it and it will mess up your ornament. Don't ask me how I know that. And on my second one, I picked this beautiful vintage Christmas picture. I stuck it in there, and that's why I painted it blue. I did the same thing with the double-sided tape and put it on cardstock, and so both of my pictures are placed inside. I'm going to go around the rim with hot glue, And I just used like a very skinny ribbon that I have. The ribbon came from the Dollar General, and it's a very vintage vibe of a ribbon. I love it. And it's got the wire in it, so it was really easy to maneuver. And I just went all the way around where I made that little hole on the one ornament. I noticed on all the old dioramas that I had looked at, most of them had like pipe cleaner around the little opening there, which I wanted to add that too to pay homage to the old ones because I'm trying to keep this as vintage as possible. I just wanted to add that ribbon because it gave it a little something extra, and I liked that. So right inside of where that ribbon ended, I added a little bit more hot glue and went around it with the pipe cleaner, and it made it even more bright, and it really attracts your eyes to that opening, which is what I would like. If you're enjoying this content, I would like to ask you to please hit the like button because that really helps me out on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what in the world are you waiting for? You know I want you to be a part of my family here on YouTube. So please hit that little red subscribe button and become a part of the Crafty Cathy family. I have had so many requests from people asking me to do vintage and retro decor and also Victorian decor, so I have a bunch of videos coming down the pike, and if this is your type of content, I don't want you to miss any of it. Here's what we got so far. Then I'm just going to take some of my little string lights, and I get these off Amazon. They're in my Amazon store if you want some of these. And on one, I just placed the little battery pack right down inside of there, and then I kind of wadded my lights up so that they wouldn't stick up too high and placed them down inside the first one. And I placed a little tree down inside there with just a little dab of hot glue. Then I added some of the faux snow inside, and I made sure to put enough to cover up the wires from my little lights. And on this yellow one, I put a little red pipe cleaner around the front, just like I had done on the blue one. And since this one was like the little snow globe thing, the little closure part, I'm going to put that on the bottom, and I also did use pipe cleaner on it also. I get this cording at the Dollar General. It's right by where the ribbon is. I'm going to use it like a garland and go all around my Christmas tree. And then I just pop the bottom off of that little Christmas tree and I glue it down inside the ornament. And also notice that I did put this set of string lights on the outside. The little battery pack is on the outside, so it would be easier to turn off and on. And then I just added my little faux snow and everything inside this one. I put just a little bit of Mod Podge and some of those little tube like confetti type pieces that we had placed in our first DIY. I used those on the very top of this ornament. And I placed the cutest little bow made from that cording right on the side there. And I also took this outside and gave it a couple of sprays of that spray glitter that I have. It's a Krylon spray glitter. And I added a little red bell right to the middle of my little ribbon there. To finish the yellow one off, I take one of these little candy pieces that I got from the Hobby Lobby for I think $2 for 4 or 5 pieces. I put it on the top, and then I make one of those little bows from the cording and also put that right on the side. And then in the middle of my bow, I also added one of those little red bells, and I took this one outside and sprayed it with the glitter also. I hope you like these. I think they're sweet as can be. My very last DIY is going to be a gorgeous Coca-Cola wreath. I used this poly mesh that I got from the Hobby Lobby, and it's 10 by 30 foot. I was going to use the white, but I didn't end up using that at all. Now, right now, like I said, everything is 60% off at Hobby Lobby, so I think I paid about $3 something for this bunch of deco mesh. It may have been closer to right around $4. But I started off making my wreath in one way, and that's what I'm doing here. I was cutting 30-inch pieces, but I actually didn't even have to cut this at all. Let me show you the easiest way to make a wreath, and it's the way that I made this one. I would lay 2 pieces of deco mesh down, one on top of the other, and I would put the pipe cleaner on it to hold it still, and then I would count out 8 inches, and then I would put the pipe cleaner on it again, and then kind of squish it up, and then count out 8 inches again, and then squish that up. It's called the bubble method wreath, and I put some of my pipe cleaners on the outside 2 rungs and some on the 2 inner rungs. And I would just alternate back and forth on how I put those on there. Once again, you see me placing one on top of the other, and I just kind of squish them together, and I'm going to tie that down. I'm going to secure it with my pipe cleaner, and this one's going on the outer 2 rungs here. I tie it down, and then I'm going to count from where that pipe cleaner is 8 inches over. And then I'm going to squeeze it when I get to the 8 inches and kind of squish it up, and that's where the next pipe cleaner's going. Then I'm going to measure from that pipe cleaner and go over another 8 inches, squish it up, or squish it together, however you want to say, and put the pipe cleaner down once again. And then once you're finished going all the way around your wreath, it just takes a few moments. You're going to use your fingers and fluff this out, and it makes little bubbles all over your wreath, and that's why they call it the bubble wreath. Since I started off doing the wreath in a totally different way, I'm sorry, it was kind of hard for me to film that where it would actually make sense. But basically, you just go every 8 inches and put it down. So I've got this beautiful sign. It's a Coca-Cola Santa. I laid my pipe cleaners down on the back, and that's what's going to secure this. I put a bunch of glue down, pipe cleaner, and then more glue. Then I took a piece of drop cloth and glued it down over the top because that helps hold that pipe cleaner down and keep it really secure. Because this sign was a little heavy, but I love the Coca-Cola Santa from back in the 80s. So I just use my pipe cleaners and tie that really tight, and that way that Santa's not going to go anywhere because I put about 6 or 7 pipe cleaners on him. And I actually didn't have enough of the deco mesh to finish out this entire wreath. I had one tiny little section, so I did use a little bit of that white, but only to fill in, and it's going to be covered up anyways by my Santa Claus, so I thought that it would be okay and you're never going to see it. Needless to say, this was a very challenging project for me, and I didn't know how I was going to bring it all together, but I finally got an idea to get it to work, and I love the way that it came out. You guys that follow me often know that I don't like gold very much, and so I didn't like the gold that was going around this because I felt like it took away from that wreath in some way. So I just painted this outer portion white. And you don't directly have to stay right in those lines because we're going to cover it up with faux snow and some other things, some glitter and such. So I just did my white acrylic paint all the way around the edge here. When I finally put on 2 coats of that white paint and it dried, I went around with Mod Podge, and then I only had a little bit of the silvery colored glitter that was fine in the very bottom of this little thing that I keep my glitter in. So I actually had to use that to get all around the edges here. But in the end, I put down a couple coats of my Mod Podge and my glitter concoction, and I got it exactly the way that I wanted it, and it was glittered enough to my liking, so then I went to my next step. I've got this 2-inch ribbon that I absolutely love. I pulled it from my stash, and it came from a thrift store, and you can tell it's really old. It has like silvery snowflakes on it, and I'm going to cut 1-inch strips out here. And then I also have this candy cane ribbon that I cut in 8-inch strips, and both of these came from the thrift store, and both of them had like 1982 on the spool, so I know that these are old, and they're exactly from the time frame that this Santa and the Coca-Cola was real big. So here's how I put these together. I dovetailed the ends, by the way. I just put down a piece of each of my snowflakes and my peppermints, and then I'm going to show you how I made these little streamers in just a moment. But then I just put my tie wrap through the middle, or I'm sorry, not my tie wrap, but my pipe cleaner through the middle, and just tied it down, and I made about 12 of these little bundles here. Now I'm going to show you how I made these little streamers. I have these little curly things. I'm not really sure what you call it. Curly string, maybe? I don't know. You get it at the party section in Hobby Lobby. You can also get this from the Dollar Tree. I've seen it before. These were just 99 cents for each spool. And I pulled off about 2-foot pieces, and I pulled off 2 of the red and 1 white, and I would just tie them in a knot around 2 of my fingers, and just like place a knot right in the center of these, and that way it would have something that I could use to kind of hold it together with. Then I would just use my scissors and curl these so that they would have, you know, like be curly and really pretty everywhere. But that's the little streamers that I put in the middle of my 2 little bows, and then I would just put my pipe cleaner around it to hold it, and then twist it 1 or 2 times there. Now, I didn't measure exactly how far apart I put these, but I would just find somewhere at the bottom where it looked like there was a good spot, and I would very loosely tie these onto the back with those pipe cleaners that I have. And then I would just measure out by putting a hand's width in between where I put the next one. You see how I put my hand down, and that's how I knew how far to go to the next one. I think all in all, I put down a total of about 6 or 7 of these little bow combinations, and I really, really liked the way that the streamers gave it that 1980s vibe, and it just, everything about this wreath came out perfect the way that I wanted it to in the end. But when I started cutting those 30 inches off, and then I realized I couldn't use it, I was just like, what am I going to do now? And so I had to come up with some kind of an idea. And I'm really glad that this came together the way that I wanted it to. And it all has that 1980s Santa Claus Coca-Cola vibe going on. Now, when I finished, I did have to put some extra curls in some of these and actually cut some of these off if I felt like they needed to be cut off. I just kind of went around and straightened up the whole wreath and fluffed up my little bows and just gave everything a good fluffing and looked it over till I went to the next step. I found these snowflakes in my stash, and I believe these came from the Goodwill, but they are very possible that they're a Dollar Tree product, and they're kind of like a gold color right now, and I took them outside and spray painted them white. I'm going to take all these little balls that come from the Dollar Tree, and they're the tiny little ornaments, the little bitty ones, and I'm just going to place 3 of those together, and I'm going to glue them on top of each one of the little packets, or whatever you want to call it, of each of the little bows that I have on here. On some of these, I would add 2 red and 1 silver, and then on some of them, I would do 2 silver and 1 red. There was really no rhyme or reason to what I was doing. I just thought this looked really good. Then I brought those little snowflakes in when they had dried, and I laid them out according to where I wanted to glue them, and put just a little dab of glue on the back of them and stuck them very softly on the top of my wreath. And then I got these two little trees at Hobby Lobby. They were $2 a piece, which was a great deal because these are really good quality little trees. And they had little long bottom pieces on them. The wire was really thick and long. So I cut the wire down a little bit and I just placed them. I wanted the white one to be a little bit taller than the red one, and I placed it in the wreath. I hope you like it. Hey, if you stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and please don't forget to hit that like button because that really helps me out on YouTube. It helps me get out there in front of other people that have never seen me before or had a chance to watch my videos. And don't forget, every Tuesday and Friday my videos are out right now. It's the Christmas series. They're at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, and I will always let you know if there's a collaboration or if something comes up and I have to change that day. It's always on our community tab. Y'all have a good Thanksgiving, and I love each and every one of you, and I'm thankful for you too.